Rolling. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
Good. Back by popular demand.
Yeah. Back for episode 2.
Episode 2. Hell yeah. We made this happen sooner rather than later, which is good.
Yeah.
Before we get cracking, because we're going to dive into story time today.
Yep.
We're going to dive into James's experience in Sierra Leone, where he was posted for the Ebola crisis as a medic in the army. But before we do that, I just wanted to quickly shout out to you and say thank you, because after our previous podcast, James listened back to, maybe you should tell the story.
Yeah, so it's quite funny, isn't it? Because I listened back to the podcast and highlighted a few areas where I wanted to really improve on my speaking. And yeah, got in contact with you and said, well, at work actually, I think, wasn't it? And I just said, have you ever seen this group before called Toastmasters, where you can work on your public speaking? And and we both sort of decided to go along.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I haven't, but sounds dope. Like, let's check it out. And I'm just like really grateful that you decided to go and look into that, because it's something that I hadn't thought of.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought of that, and I'm grateful, because one area that I'm really looking to improve in my public speaking and even in my podcasting is my ability to recall words on the spot.
Yeah.
And like to articulate points.
Yeah, sure.
It's an area that I feel like I need to definitely develop in.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that I can learn to do that better through.
Yeah. And I definitely think Toastmasters was pretty good.
Yeah,
I definitely learned a lot.
Yeah. In one night we learned quite a bit, didn't we? Yeah,
it was good. I think the main thing I took away from it is when people talk about their fear. A lot of people had a lot of fear of public speaking, and they sort of said that fear doesn't go away, but they learn to love it.
Exactly,
so that was good.
Well, something I hear crop up quite often is that fear is very closely related to excitement.
Yeah.
You know, like nerves can be sort of interpreted as fear, or they can be interpreted as excitement. And a professional generally isn't the case that they, no longer feel the fear. Yeah. They just learn to recognize it as an excitement.
Yeah, sure.
So that's cool, and so thanks for that. We are now both learning to become kick-ass public speakers, which is really awesome.
Sergeant at Arms.
Yeah, you can definitely step into that role. Sorry, in-joke. Cool, all right. So moving on from that, your podcast, or our podcast, episode 2, for those who haven't checked it out, was awesome. I loved it. I got so much out of it, and it was pretty clear to both of us that you have a lot more to share.
Yeah, definitely.
We worked out.
It was hard to condense.
Oh man, we worked out at the end of the hour. I was like, geez, we could really just keep going, hey, but it wasn't to be. So, with an hour in mind, my friend, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah,
and we'll dive into your story in Sierra Leone, and which, for those that aren't aware, is a small country in West Africa, on the west coast, sort of right Central Africa. In the tropical band there. And we will sort of continue on with this series, I think, over the coming weeks with some more stories of different places
share some
you've
experiences.
been. And, you definitely have a unique set of experiences to share with a whole bunch of people that haven't had anything like that.
That is definitely true. I think, so if we get started, I mean, let's talk about, I touched briefly last time on a couple of experiences in Sierra Leone, but I really want to bring it back to sort of the beginning. Let's start that sort of journey.
Take it away.
If we look back now, I can't remember the exact year that I went. It was probably 3-4 years into my career in the army. 4 years probably, more so around that area.
So when did you start?
So 2011, so this would have been like 2015, 16-ish, something, 15 probably, something around that time. There wasn't a lot going on in the army this time. Afghan was really declining, so there's no real operations.
Yeah.
So this time in the army is very difficult because there's not a lot going on, and for a soldier or anyone in the military, it's a tough time.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can't really do your job.
Yeah.
And then
almost feel a bit like purposeless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, like in the military, you do get these opportunities now and again. I say luckily enough. It's not
A good thing.
Yeah, it's not a good thing, but when you do that job, it's good to be able to actually go and do your job. So
Yeah.
Ebola happened in Sierra Leone, which obviously is devastating. A little bit about Ebola.
I was going to say, do you want to give people a bit of background on it?
So Ebola is a virus.
Yeah.
And what that virus essentially does is shuts down your entire body. So if we think fever sort of symptoms, you're going to get all those. But on top of that, you're going to get things like organ failure. You're going to have internal and external bleeding. It really is just not good. And a 90% death rate. So
shit.
Do
you know what animal Ebola stemmed from?
Yes. Well, a lot of the carriers there were bats.
Right.
So fruit bats.
Yeah.
But also carried by like chimpanzees, apes, stuff like that as well.
Okay.
Those are big carriers.
Yeah.
So they sort of said it originally stimulated from bats there.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is, but that's what we were told.
That's what we were told, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I was in Germany at the time, and then Ebola happened. It's kind of similar to my Afghan story. I didn't know I was going to go. The training was very last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I got sent to the UK to do a lot of training where basically to just prepare you for those sort of treatment centres and stuff like that when you get there. And this was sort of very much how to use protective equipment because I've never used any of this stuff before, and this is like infectious disease prevention. So I was wearing a full suit, mask, everything, and getting used to working in that is difficult. Like,
did you have any of those like decontamination chambers you'd have to go into and get like the works?
They are literally
like in the movies.
Yeah, as soon as I'll touch on it later, but yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah, okay, wow.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like the actual control over that sort of disease, it has to be perfect.
Oh yeah,
because you can't let things like slip up. So I'd done all this training, which was great. Like the training was for 6 weeks or something. It was good, and it was really sort of full on. And you have to kind of take note, and you have to be prepared for like all these situations. So anyway, smashed all that training out, got it done, and then they cut the numbers drastically. Yeah. They were like, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to go again. Like, I'm not going to go. It's just going to be a nightmare. I've done all this training now for nothing.
Yeah.
And then got the call. I remember driving. This is quite a weird story. I remember driving home from camp on like a weekend, and this was a Friday. Driving home, I was still in the UK at this point because I was still finished the training. I was kind of waiting to go in kind of limbo. I was driving home thinking, I'm not going to go. Anyway, I get a call, and I was like, unknown number. I was like, what's this? So I answered it. Right, you're going on Monday. So I was like, right, okay, turn around and go back.
The universe wanted you on these jobs, didn't it?
Yeah,
it was like, you've got to pick that guy. He's a good guy.
But basically what they did was they cut all the sort of regular forces, and then they incorporated a lot of the part-time army, territorial army, and took them as well. So yeah, the numbers just got cut, but luckily I was still on there. So yeah, so I flew to Sierra Leone. First impressions of the country, I was like, wow, I've never been somewhere like here before. I've been to Africa previously, but this was just like completely different.
What was so different? I mean, I've been to Africa briefly. I've like flown into Ethiopia, been into the Ethiopian airport, and just like had a suss around, and then flown to South Africa. So I've seen a little bit of it, and it's an incredible country.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Holy shit! Of all the places I've been in the world, I think Africa geographically, is probably the most spectacular. From what I've seen, like just
I couldn't agree more.
Incredible place.
Yeah, I mean, when I first flew there, I mean, you fly into an airport the main city basically, which is called Freetown, and so Freetown is basically the main area in Sierra Leone. It's probably like the most sort of the town that has the most sort of structures and stuff like that. So
most sophisticated kind of place and
definitely.
Yeah.
There's more civilization.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. There's people everywhere. There's like I don't know. As soon as it's probably the only place I really saw with roads.
Yeah.
Well, you can call them roads. There's some form of like
Paths.
some form of like concrete that people drive on. But yeah, it was just crazy. Like it was so hot though. That's another thing. The heat there is insane. I mean,
and the humidity,
yeah,
in that part of the world.
But yeah, it was great. I mean, we had coaches when we got there. They're not coaches; they're old buses to take us to where we were going. And this was like a sort of a holding camp where we were heading to. So we were driving down the roads, and you kind of see how you get a gist for sort of the life there.
Yeah.
And you can tell that obviously this is a third world country, and poverty is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's devastatingly obvious, isn't it?
You're quickly sort of realising, right, okay, this is where I am now, and this is the situation. Like, obviously, this country is in like sort of turmoil at the moment because of what's going on. There's a lot of people dying, and obviously they're very receptive of you being there as well. So that's always nice.
Just quickly, is Ebola airborne virus, or like how is it transmitted?
Yeah, so transmitted. You can transmit through like blood and stuff like that. So if you're in contact with someone with Ebola or bodily fluids and things like that, yes. But another way in which they were contracting Ebola was through people having funerals, displaying the open body, and everyone around that body. Battling
some technical difficulties there, guys. Sorry about that. Continue.
Yeah, so everyone would be around the body, and then display the body in this sort of open funeral sort of ceremony, and then everyone would come up, touch the body and stuff like this. So not a great situation. Obviously, it's how it's going to be contracted.
Interesting how they can contract it just from being around.
Yeah,
the dead body,
and especially when they're not really cleaning the body and stuff like this. So there's going to be bodily fluids. There's going to be you never know what's going to be there. It's just not a great ideal sort of situation when you're dealing with like a virus like that.
Not the most sanitary sort
of exactly.
situation.
But very hard to change, especially when it's a tradition, and that's how they do their funerals.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, I came to. We all basically went to this one location, and I've actually forgotten the name of it. It was a really it wasn't
X.
It was a camp which the British Army made up, so it wasn't actually like a real location. It just had a camp name. But yeah, we all went there, and from there you're sort of dispersed out.
Yeah.
So at that time I had a lot more experience from like my previous tour, and I've been in the army for like 5 years now, so I had a lot more experience, and especially dealing with casualties and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was taken over from a medic based in a small district town called Moyamba.
Yeah.
So that was where I was going to be heading, and I was going to be taken over there. So jumped on the helicopter, off I went, and during that helicopter trip, there was actually like 3 technical difficulties with the helicopter, and we had to literally land in the middle of nowhere, and people were swarming. Yeah. And this, another thing to mention is this is a soft operation, what they call in the military, which basically means we didn't take weapons.
Oh, right.
So no one was armed on that tour.
Wow.
And you display a soft posture, so you don't, what that basically means is you don't wear aggressive looking things, you don't wear body armour, you don't wear helmet, you don't wear... Right. Yeah, it's just non-aggressive, because it's sort of, you're there to help, and you're there to sort of give humanitarian aid. You're not there to engage anyone. You're not there to... Was
Sierra Leone a dangerous place at that time? Or?
No, not really, because a long time ago, the British military actually trained the Sierra Leone army.
Okay.
So they actually... There's mutual agreements there, and the British army still do that. They still train them soldiers.
Okay.
So it's quite safe.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and I'll elaborate it further on, sometimes it doesn't feel safe.
Yeah. Any third world country, you're going to be thrown into situations at times that do not feel safe.
Yeah, definitely. But no, anyway, the helicopter went down. Well, I say went down. Landed. But suddenly swarms of people, because a lot of people in these sort of rural areas don't see a helicopter often.
Yeah.
And there's so many people around the helicopter, and there's only sort of 3 of us on that helicopter, 3 or 4. So trying to control this huge crowd is daunting when you don't have anything to really control them with. You can't communicate properly.
Yeah.
And yeah, that wasn't ideal, but yeah, luckily they sorted it out. Eventually, it took us about an hour to sort it out. I don't know what it was, but the pilots managed to sort it out, and we got off again, and I landed in Moyamba. Now, this place was completely different to Freetown. This is we're in the sticks now, and there's not a lot of civilization. There's civilization, but it's very, very basic.
Yeah.
Where the British Army had made a sort of a base point there was in an old stadium.
Right.
So when we think of a stadium, you think like tons of seats, you think a big like round area.
It's just like a football field with a couple of
this was like
chairs.
a football field, which was the most uneven field I've ever seen. There's bushes everywhere. There's like all sorts of stuff and a few concrete steps. And underneath that is an old sort of cafe, and a big sort of wall around the whole sort of thing. And I thought, all right, okay, so. We turned up. They've made a sort of small gate between like the wall, sort of a hole in the wall, and that was quite good. So I went in there, and then that was my home. That was going to be my home for the next sort of 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
So yeah, that was quite a big shock.
Well, that would have felt like home coming from England.
Yeah, just can't play football on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, yeah. So that was definitely eye opening. It was pretty cool to just experience that. And what my job was there at the time was to look after just those people there. So there's a few. Basically, what they do in each district is they all communicate, and then they feed out information to the local sort of tribal leaders and stuff like this. It's all about. They don't really do that much there, but you just kind of communicate, and you sort of feed back to the big bosses in Freetown, and then they deliver from there. So at that point, I wasn't really directly going to be doing anything with Ebola.
Okay.
I was only there to really look after the military, and that was about it.
So you're like an intermediary kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just kind of there because the British Army have people there, so you always need a medic there just in case anything goes wrong. Because to travel from that main bit is like 45 minutes by helicopter, or like 8 hours by road. So
So, because I remember you saying in the first episode that when you were sent there, you weren't supposed to be treating locals.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then things changed. So I done a little bit of time there, only a few days, and then they needed people back in the treatment centres. So because I'd had that training previously, they were like, right, okay, we need you back here. So I got moved to a treatment centre then, but it was only for 2.5 weeks. And then I was going back to Moyamba.
Okay.
So now I was being moved to the treatment centre, and that's just a whole new level. That's where I really experienced Ebola there.
Right.
And that is like when you said you wear like the suit, and you're going in like an area where you're decontaminated, and then you go into the treatment centre, and you always go through that process every time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and this was like where it really sort of hit home for me, and I saw things which were just they're just horrible. Yeah. First time I'd experienced children as casualties, so that was a big shock. And Ebola is just a nasty virus. Yeah. I saw things where people were bleeding from like their eyes, and like uncontrollably bleeding as well, but still conscious. And things like that are just hard to just deal with.
Man.
Especially when it's children. Children are a massive.
I don't really have words. I'm just ahhing and ahhing, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a big eye opener, and especially trying to deal with that and wear this suit in 40-degree heat, which is just insane. I mean, I was leaving the treatment centre and I was tipping my boot out, and it was full of sweat. Like I'm talking like it's like tipping a water bowl upside down, and sweat is just running out of it.
Oh man,
it's crazy. And like you do like a few hours in there, and then you come off, and then you go back to do another. So you have like an area where you sit and you chill out, and you sort of decompress.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you do stuff. But my job within there was I did a lot of obs, so I was doing observations continuously on patients, and I was doing things like running fluids through, putting catheters in, and things like this. So there was a lot of big medical professionals there.
Yeah, okay.
Talking like infectious disease specialists and stuff like this who are really, really dealing with the actual Ebola.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm just assisting, but like you still see everything in there.
Fuck yeah.
So,
dude.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks in there was if it went really fast, but at the same time went really slow.
Yeah. Right.
Just purely because mentally it's horrible. It wasn't.
I'm just picturing so many scenes from the movies right now. I feel like I can get a rough idea of what it would have been like.
I'd never really experienced Ebola until then, and like obviously you hear stories when you first get there, and then you see it and you're like, wow, like I've never seen anything like this in my life. So yeah, that was hard to deal with. I had times where I would literally finish my shift there and just cry. Like
I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, I remember just crying, but like, so there's times in the military where that happens, and you have to think, right, okay, let that emotion out, and then crack on.
Yeah.
Because like that's what you have to do a lot of the time.
Well, bro, you have to let it out, and that would be the key.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolute key to surviving in an environment like that.
Yeah,
would be letting
you have to. Yeah, and like that's one good thing about the army is like a lot of the time they'll say like because everyone breaks down in the military.
Yeah.
Everyone has times where you're at your lowest, and you just want to. The only thing you can do is either laugh or cry.
Yeah.
So that's why the military humour is so weird because that is physically the case. Like you laugh at it or you just cry and you let that emotion out for a bit and then you just go, right, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah.
Next scenario.
I've let it out and move on.
Yeah.
Because
if you hold on to it, it's just a spiral and then...
Well, I feel like that is the theme of the army, isn't it? It's like break you down and build you back up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. But, yeah, so them 2.5 weeks were hard 2.5 weeks. I felt sorry for the people who did that for 4 months because that is mentally very, very difficult. For me, obviously, I went back to Moyamba at this point, which actually for myself was great. I loved Moyamba. That's one of the best times I've ever had in the military.
Yeah, sweet.
When I look back on it now. And that's purely because of the people around me. I had a great team. And the actual people of Moyamba. So I had a lot of freedom there.
Yeah, okay.
Which was pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
We had an ambulance there, which is great. And I could kind of go out in that ambulance and sort of go around to local areas and stuff like this. I still wasn't allowed to treat locals. But there's ways around that.
Just quietly.
There is ways around it, but and then now and then, like when I touched on that other story, on the other podcast, that was in Sierra Leone where I did almost get thrown off the tour, but that was because I used like a drug which is accountable for.
Yeah.
And so like
it's inventory, as they say.
Yeah, basically. But if it's like smaller stuff,
gotta do stock take on that one.
Oh yeah, nightmare. But yeah, if it's like smaller stuff, it's a lot easier to use, and I met some amazing people there. I mean, we used to employ. I say we used to employ.
Did they teach you to dance?
Yeah, I learned to dance. It was crazy. Like some of the stuff that they used to do there. I mean, we used to have people that worked on the front gate, you'd call it, of the little compound that we were in.
The footy field.
Yeah, and they would take temperatures of people when they came in and out. So obviously, if you were over a certain temperature, you weren't going to be coming in,
right?
Because you are potentially going to be. Well, it's a symptom of like just being ill in general.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But like, you can't take that risk. So anyone with a higher temperature is not going to be coming in.
What are the early onset symptoms of Ebola?
So big sort of fever symptoms, nausea, so vomiting, stuff like this, and general feeling unwell. So any complaints of illness.
Right. Okay.
That's basically where you're going to begin to sort of notice that you are ill.
Yeah.
That's when you potentially are going to have Ebola, because in like a matter of hours, that could develop into bleeding somewhere. So it's very, very aggressive. and
okay.
you don't
Wow.
really have like long to really be like, okay, this symptom starts here, and then over like 7 days turns into this and turns into that. It all happens within space of a few hours.
Wow. So do you know what the average, like, geez, I want to say lifespan of someone who gets, like, you know, from infection to death?
Probably a few days.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'd have people in the treatment centre who had come in feeling unwell, and then within like 6 hours were bleeding internally from various areas.
Shit.
And that's obviously like obviously it affects people differently. Some people it might be longer than that, but that's from my experience. That's what, like, it was very quick, very quick.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's nasty. But yeah, so in our sort of compound, we had locals sort of employed there, and that was great because they worked with us, and obviously we worked with them. It's kind of like a partnership, and the British Army used to pay them, which is obviously great for them.
Yeah.
They're workhorses. They will work there. They would stay there for 24 hours.
Shit.
They'd sleep in like on like the floor there or anything, or on like the camp beds, and then they'd sleep at the gate as well, even if they didn't need to be there.
Wow.
They're very like passionate about the job that they had and the job that they were given by the army.
Yeah.
Which was great for them, I guess. I met a few people there. One guy called Lawrence and another guy called Isa. I actually still have them on Facebook.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is
cool.
great. And Lawrence always messages me.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool. And a few things that I used to
learn.
Do
you think he sees something in you about himself?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to speak to him daily, every single day for hours. I mean, he always used to ask me about the UK, and he used to ask me all this stuff about the army and everything like this. And then I used to learn so much about Sierra Leone from him, about the language, because they speak a broken English.
Do they?
Yeah.
So their actual nation's language is English, but it's like a version of English.
Yeah, a different version.
Right.
And if you're English, you can't understand it.
Wow.
So I had no clue what they were saying.
So you recognise the words, but you don't understand what.
Yeah, a lot of them sound like sounds. They don't even sound like words.
Right.
But I don't know. It's odd, and he used to teach me a lot of the stuff there, which was quite cool.
Is that the only language spoken there?
No, I think they do speak, because in like Africa they have so many different languages.
Yeah, they're shit.
And sometimes he was trying to explain to me that sometimes they speak other languages as well, but broken English is like what most people communicate with there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But it might as well be another language itself, because it's not English. Yeah. But yeah, so that was pretty odd. But yeah, it was great to meet him. And one thing which really sort of stood out is what he used to tell me about how everyone in Sierra Leone tries to win the lottery there. Okay. And I was like, all right, okay, slightly odd, but he used to tell me this every day that he always used to try and enter this lottery. And I was like, well, what do you win? And you don't win any amount of money, you don't win anything. What you win is a visa to the UK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's almost like...
That sounds like one of those
movies.
It's
really
What's
weird.
That movie? Is the movie called The Island or something? What's the movie with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson where they're clones and they win the lottery and they escape? It's like they escape.
That's
like the winning the lottery is like the idea of them leaving that compound and being taken to they get taken to the island, which is like a
paradise.
But really it actually means that they got selected by their owners and they are to be killed because their owner needs, or their clone, the person they were cloned from needs their body part from them or whatever. Anyway, great movie.
That sounds good.
Yeah, something like that, but not. Okay, cool.
But it is very similar. I mean, because their ideal situation was to not be in this third world country and to escape to the UK, where they potentially aren't they're going to go from this Sierra Leone where they do actually have family, they have their own house and all this sort of stuff that they've built over time, to then go to the UK and have nothing. It's just purely a ticket there.
Yeah, right.
Wow. But it's very weird how they all try and win this, and it's sort of very advertised and sort of promoted, and like this is, you want to win this. You want to get out of here and go to here.
Sounds a lot like the island.
Very weird. But he obviously introduced me to things like that, which obviously I would have never known about, and a lot of his culture, which was quite cool. And yeah, I felt like my experiences there were amazing. One thing which I'll always look back on this and be like, that was one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
So I remember venturing out one day in an ambulance, and I was just driving around by myself, and I remember stumbling across a few children that were sitting outside of this it was kind of a big sort of house. Well, I say a big house. It's not a house. It's just kind of huts put together.
Right.
Yeah. And they were sitting outside. Yeah. And this woman was calling me in, and she's like beckoning me in. And I thought, okay, I'll just pop in there.
Yeah.
It's very, very friendly there.
Okay.
Like in that sort of Moyamba area, we were well established there, so everyone knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I went in, and it was an orphanage, and it was called the Mustard Seed.
Oh yeah.
So it's an orphanage for disabled children and children with sort of special needs and learning disabilities.
Yeah.
And I spent probably the rest of my day there once I went in there.
That's
yeah.
Awesome.
And I had some food with me in the ambulance. Ration stuff, which I gave out to the kids, and I listened to them sing for a while. They're singing me songs and stuff like this. It was great.
I love the music and dance culture in Africa,
amazing!
Man. It is
and the energy was just incredible.
It's so good. Honestly, if you haven't been to a third world country and experienced what happiness means to those people, I don't think you've really experienced what happiness means.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, if you're happy with absolutely nothing, like you can't be happier than that. Yeah. So
whether
that was
it's
good.
Bali or Africa or or Thailand, like it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, that's a third world country.
Yeah,
there
definitely.
are these faces with smiles from ear to ear, and it doesn't matter if they're missing teeth or whatever. They're just happy as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And that was amazing to see. And the lady there invited me in. They were they do teaching there, so they teach various subjects, and it was almost a school as it was an orphanage. So I asked if I could be part of their teaching. I said, look, can I help you teach English?
Oh yeah.
So
awesome.
So this was probably my third week there,
and
I still had like 3 months left. So I went there pretty much every single day and helped teach all of those kids English.
That's so
and
cool,
it was
man.
like
What
amazing.
An experience.
Yeah,
it
was so
cool.
good. And another thing another thing I set up was, so I communicated back to my boss, who was back on the main base. I said, look, this is what I've been doing, and is there a way that we can get some form of like things like clothing? Because they had very, very minimal stuff, and like I could tell that the kids needed clothes, the kids needed food, and everything like this. So I set up like a group. Well, not really a group, but I got in contact with my boss, and he managed to do some contacts, and we got loads of stuff from the UK sent over.
Oh, sweet.
So it all came to my location. We had clothes, rations, and food, and everything. And like,
that's awesome.
I took them down. I didn't take them down all at once. I just took things down gradually to there, and they were so appreciative of all this stuff. And it was amazing to just see, okay, right, cool. I am actually impacting here, which is great. And like,
and that feeling of the helper's high, they call it.
Oh yeah.
I was learning a little bit today on a podcast about flow state, and one thing he mentioned was that getting into this flow state is often a case of it lasts like sort of a few hours.
Yeah.
But the helper's high, from what scientific studies have shown, can last like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So like the pure state of flow and the state of like, inner peace and joy and a sense of like fulfillment and just absolute happiness.
Yeah.
Or like a sense of being a human being.
Yeah.
Like to that degree is just so rewarding like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I did feel amazing when I was there. And it was amazing to see the impact I was having just being there and helping these kids and how much sort of energy they had. And yeah, it was just amazing. I remember bringing my whole team down that were there, and we went down for like a full day out at the orphanage, and then invited all the kids back and the sort of tutors and minders back up for a meal at our camp.
Oh, cool.
And that was just amazing.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Obviously we had to do like temperature checks and stuff like that, but they were all good. So Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, in our camp, we had like a chef. I say a chef, it's an army chef. It's very basic. But the food he used to make was incredible.
Yeah, cool.
So the kids absolutely loved it, and we were all playing games. And on the running, I say running track, the track that was outside of the stadium, we were doing like little mini events for the kids and things like that. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
So yeah, that was really good. But yeah, so that was like one experience I had there.
I can absolutely see why that was one of your favourite places.
Yeah, definitely one of my favourite ones.
That's a memory you'll treasure for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. But then, so touching on some of the great times, I thought definitely I'd touch on some of the negative times I had there.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time to reflect there, because a lot of time where there wasn't a lot going on, and there wasn't really much for me to do if I didn't go out and find things to do.
A lot of downtime.
Yeah, a lot of downtime, and sometimes when you get a lot of downtime in the military, it does play with your head.
Downtime.
Yeah. And you kind of get into a space where you end up reflecting on negative things as opposed to positive things. And a lot of time I did feel like I need to be doing something, otherwise I'm going to spiral into some form of depression.
It's important to note here that human beings are very much, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like sponges.
Yeah.
Around emotion.
Yes.
We pick up on other people's emotions. We pick up on feelings and what's going on around us, our environment.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
It's very, very difficult to fortify oneself against that.
Yeah.
And be able to step into a place where so much pain, deep, deep sadness and grief and violence and all this nasty shit is happening, and maintain a strong, positive, healthy, happy outlook. To be able to do that is that's like master level.
Yeah, definitely.
So being in a place like that, I can only imagine, like what you were saying before, you were grateful for having 2.5 weeks in there rather than 4 months.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like those people doing 4 months, I can't imagine the kind of emotional barrage they were having to sort of defend themselves from on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly, and that's huge for them, and it's huge when you have that time to actually reflect on it, because it's fine when you're busy, but the minute you get that time where you suddenly think, okay, let's slow down, let's think about what I've actually done for the last 2 weeks or however long it is, and then you suddenly think about it, and it comes back to when I said then, you laugh or you cry.
Yeah.
But,
or both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, another thing I was going to touch on as well is, I said previously in the podcast, you feel in situations where, you are in situations where you don't feel safe.
Yes.
So I had a few of those when I was there, which was, I remember we went out on, it was I can't really remember where we went. I think we had to go somewhere to pick up something. Anyway, we went out on a convoy, and there's 3 cars in Land Cruisers at the time. That's what we had there. And it takes forever to go anywhere from Wamba, because the roads are just, they're not roads, they're just rocks and stuff, and you have to try and, it's just off-roading the whole time. So anyway, I remember we got to a small bridge, and this bridge was broken, so we couldn't go any further. And suddenly we went from, being in sort of a calm situation to, this is getting out of hand now. There's a lot of people selling fruit and vegetables, or trying to sell them.
Surrounding the cars.
And as soon as they see someone who is white, you're just like a magnet. Yeah. And suddenly the cars are getting swamped. No one actually has any form of weapon.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's lock the doors, and just people are banging on the windows. And when you're not buying stuff, people are starting to get aggressive.
Yeah, right.
So suddenly it's gone from trying to sell coconuts or trying to sell bananas or whatever it is.
Coconuts?
Yeah. To suddenly...
Did they crack any open?
Well, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to buy one. Yeah. That's another thing. We weren't allowed to... to eat produce there.
Yeah,
we had to eat everything
okay.
from authorised sources and stuff like this. So
got ya.
it's not like you could
Makes
we could even buy it if we wanted to.
Mm.
And even like things like their money, you didn't really want to be handling their money because the money is just like dirt. It's very very dirty. You don't really know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And it's like, but anyway, all these people are swarming the cars. It's getting aggressive, and I was in the passenger seat at the time, and I'm thinking, this is an out of control situation. We're not in control here.
Yeah.
And there was obviously like 2 or 3 cars, and I couldn't even see the other cars. All I can see is people on the windscreen, people here,
Jesus.
and it doesn't take much to break a car window.
Yeah.
So
these aren't like reinforced windows or anything. They're just
yeah, literally not reinforced. These are just regular Land Cruisers.
Yeah. Right.
Not even like military ones, just white ones.
What? No bulletproof glass?
So yeah, I mean
wow.
that was a scary situation, and luckily enough, throughout just trying to drive the vehicle and stuff, people tried eventually dispersed. But that could have been a bad situation, and at that time I didn't feel safe.
Yeah, okay.
Especially without anything, just myself. So.
And the weapon you had was a couple of fucking surgery needles.
Yeah, I had my
medical needles.
And that's it. And it's like, that's quite a scary situation to be in. The other one I wanted to touch on was something which I talked about.
Just quickly, like, what happened? Did you get over the bridge? Did you
we just turned around and went back.
Yeah, okay.
But like,
it left the story, bro.
It took a long time. I mean, there's a lot of horn beeping. There's a lot of like almost running people over because they don't get off the car.
I was waiting for the cool like success story. How you
there wasn't really a massive success story. I just felt unsafe in that scenario.
Right.
But yeah, and then I touched on briefly the time where I was questioned about the drugs I was using, and when I almost got thrown off. So I remember. I used to attend meetings with my boss there.
Yeah.
So he used to go to the district meetings where you have a load of tribal leaders and they discuss stuff and communicate. And I used to provide med cover for those meetings. So I used to turn up, anything happened to him or anyone in the meeting, I was med cover. So I was sitting on the ambulance and someone ran out and he's trying to tell me that something's going on inside this building. So I went in and there was actually an Indian guy from World Health Organization. So a charity who are also supplying people. And there's a few charities there as well. But anyway, this guy, he's eaten something. I wasn't sure what he had eaten, but he was basically having an allergic reaction to it. He's in anaphylactic shock.
Right.
So he's dying basically in the corner.
Yeah.
So the treatment for that is adrenaline or like an EpiPen.
Yeah.
I didn't have EpiPens, I just had adrenaline. So I'm quickly drawing up an adrenaline in the ambulance, and I'm running back in, and obviously that's where I delivered that.
Right.
And he was absolutely fine after that. Things like anaphylactic shock are very, very easy to reverse.
Yeah.
But obviously I've used my adrenaline now, so I'm going to have to write a statement about why I used it. So I contacted my boss when I got back, and then obviously that wasn't accepted well.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
With anaphylactic shock, what's, physiologically going down, and what is it about the adrenaline that reverses that? Can you answer those questions? Do you know sort of a bit of detail in that department?
So basically what's actually happening to the body is the body's shutting down. You're going to find it very, very difficult to breathe. So a lot of people find this with peanut allergies. That's nut allergies.
The airway,
is a massive one. Constricts.
It constricts. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what that adrenaline does is give the body that boost it needs to kind of, okay, let's get out of this. To put it in like simple terms,
so it's kind of like fight or flight almost.
Yeah, definitely. That's what it is.
Like kicks the body into fight mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
pump the heart, breathe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that gives you that sort of reversal sort of effect.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And then that's what's going to basically reverse that. And then obviously.
And is anaphylactic shock is the cause of the body? The airway constricting, or is it a mental thing? Like, is it a shock thing? The brain causes this to happen, or is it like a reaction to I know there's probably different causes of it.
Yeah.
I've
So
heard,
a lot of time it is just the reaction to the substance that
reaction to a substance
you put in your body.
put into your body.
Yeah. That your body
Are there other
just
causes?
does not.
Can it? Do you know?
Yeah. So well, depending on like what you're actually allergic to, I guess. Sometimes even things like skin products could actually potentially bring on that effect.
Right.
And things like that, or anything that you put on your body or in your body can cause that kind of effect, because everyone's going to have some form of allergic reaction, but everyone is different, so it might go further than someone else might get a rash. You actually might suffer severely from that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then obviously then it's a big drama.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's funny. It's just something I haven't never really looked into before or like learned anything about. It's like I always knew that, you know, if they get anaphylactic shock, the airways are closing up and they're and you need to stab them with an EpiPen.
Yeah.
That was about the limit of my knowledge.
But in that EpiPen is adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's essentially the drug you need to reverse that. But yeah, I was questioned about that, and I did almost get thrown off that tour for using adrenaline on a non-military person. Which is hard to handle when you're actually like a medical professional in that situation, because it's either that or that guy dies. There's no other ambulance there with an EpiPen or adrenaline, so
you've got a resource that you have an endless supply of, no doubt, like or that you can certainly
that I can get another one of.
Easy peasy, or this guy's life.
Yeah,
you know. Take your pick, guys.
It,
What's it going to be?
So for me, it's an easy decision. But for some people in the military who aren't medical professionals, I've made the wrong decision. Just how it is. And luckily, within the army, you have other medical professionals who will back you up on those kind of things, and will eventually say, "Look, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you're in like logistics. You don't know what you're talking about." It's like, or you know what I mean. There's these people who are high up in the army. I touched on it last time. Who don't have that sort of.
Broad
they don't know what's going on. You haven't dealt with on the ground situations. They're just detached and distant from reality. Yeah, but another point I really wanted to make on this podcast was, from my time there, I realised. And I don't really know how to word this properly, but how little trust I now have in certain charities.
Yes. Actually, this is an interesting topic. I'm glad you bring it up, because I also am often very reluctant or tendent to donate money to charities.
Yeah, and I think prior to that tour, I used to give a lot of money to charity. I used to support Greenpeace, which is a charity in the UK.
It's here as well. It's worldwide, isn't it?
Well, yeah, worldwide. But obviously, I was giving to like the UK Greenpeace
branch of it.
And I was very in support of that at the time. Something I was passionate about, and I gave to a few others as well. Just through it came out my wages, and I didn't really see it as a negative. But after being in Sierra Leone and seeing some of these charities and charity work that they were doing, I quickly realised that some of them, not all of them, but some of them were really only there for money and financial gain.
Right.
A lot of the...
that's fucking sad, isn't it?
Oh, man, it was just
it makes you sick.
It was really horrible. I mean, there was a lot of people there who, because it's like a big sort of operation that charities were sending people to, there's a lot of people that wanted to go there. And I felt like a lot of them were there not because they wanted to help, but because they wanted the financial gain from the charity and
to be seen to be doing the
100%
or the right thing.
Yeah. In that main camp, they had overtaken an old holiday resort. Okay, so there was these small villas. Okay, with like little pools. That it sounds like really nice. It's not. It's very basic, but that's the best you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And people in those charities, you had high up people in the military who were staying there, and there was 6 people in this 2-bedroom tiny little villa thing. And then you had people who were complaining, who worked for charities, that they didn't have a big enough one for themselves.
Fuck.
And things like that, or lobster wasn't on the menu that evening.
Oh, you're kidding
I'm
me.
not even joking. Like things like
so
that.
our fucking donation money's going to lobster.
So things like that they really annoyed me. And the main thing that actually really got to me is I was there over Christmas. So my whole Christmas was spent there, and a lot of the charity workers that I was working with at the time were given an option. Okay, we basically want you to stay for the Christmas period, but that was like a big no-no for these people. They were like, no, we're not doing it. We don't want to stay here for Christmas. For me, I didn't have a choice. But the bonuses that they were given and offered to stay for that Christmas period were insane. Wow. I'm talking my entire year's salary to stay an extra 2 weeks. And I was like, this is all charity money. Like, this is not... Like, there's no other place for this money to come from.
Yeah.
It's obviously been given to that charity, and then these people are complaining that they don't want to stay.
Yeah. And
then almost forcing the charity to say, okay, we need you to pay this bonus.
Mm.
And I just don't agree with that.
It's a fucking interesting scenario, the whole charity world, man. Like, I'm very careful with where I send my money if I'm going to donate.
And I am now as well.
Yeah, very much. I think good practices are, wherever possible, cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
If you can donate directly to the organisation that the charity is going to be donating the money to, or whatever it is, then that's the way to go.
Yeah, especially when some charities are saying, clearly stating 100% of donations go.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few charities who do that, and they'll even match. So they'll take your payment and they'll even put the processing fee back in on top. And so you're paying a fee, that doesn't go to anyone. The charity then stumps up that money themselves and adds that to your donation. And things like that where you think, okay, right, that is a good cause. Yeah, 100% of it is actually going to the cause and not to that person who's gone there and paying their salary.
Okay. So is that the case, or can it be? I don't know. Can it be the case that they can legally get away with saying that 100% of profits go to the charity, but that might look like paying their people that they're sending overseas to be there?
I have nothing wrong with paying someone to go there and do their job.
Sorry,
but when they're getting
this is what I mean, like extravagant,
unrealistic bonuses and all this sort of stuff,
being like really looked after and
do they need to eat lobster? No.
Is
anyone else eating lobster in that country? Probably not.
Can they live in a tent while they go to help a third world country? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need to be in a villa.
And
things like that. So I think a lot of them thought they were better than the sort of the organisation they were working for, and thought they were better than anyone else there.
Yeah.
And I think that was very disheartening, especially when I had sort of given everything I could to helping people there, to then come back and see that in the main camp, where those people don't leave that camp.
Yeah.
So they're very they just make decisions for charities and stuff like this, and logistical decisions and things like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, man. There's bigger problems than your villa. You know what I mean? It was something that I found very hard to deal with and changed my whole view of charity as well, especially those charities.
Just do your due diligence and do your research on these charities first. Probably plenty of information online about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's above board.
I think if you want to be able to find a good charity, you can find a good charity.
Yeah, absolutely. There's heaps of really good stuff out there, 100%.
But it was just a bit of a knock where I thought, I thought all charities were.
Yeah, it opened your eyes to another aspect of
definitely.
Something. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So.
Well, we're up to 50 minutes or so. I thought, because we're probably going to make this a bit of a series of cool army stories, let's use the last 10 minutes to just dive real quick into your photography stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Let's cover that. So, I don't know, man. Give us a little history on what got you into photography, what you love about it, and what you hope to achieve with it.
Okay, cool. So let me think back now. So I started taking photos, or being interested in photos, actually, when I was very young. I remember having a digital camera, I don't know, I was very, very, very young, my young teens. And I used to use it and sort of look at it and think, oh, I just love using this. I love creating photos, but I just love taking photos of people. And, well, not even people then, of like nature.
Yeah.
That's what I really loved then. I used to love going to like botanical gardens and taking photos of flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I then didn't really touch photography. It didn't even cross my mind at all. My mum was basically an artist, so she was extremely creative, always creating stuff. And she used to have a very, very old manual camera, like film camera.
Oh yeah.
And I remember using that and going to like the shop and like they would develop my photos and stuff, and I used to really enjoy that process. But I never really understood how to properly use the camera.
Did you ever do like the dark rooms, like developing?
Yeah,
photos?
so
I did that at school. It was cool.
Yeah, so obviously as time went on, I then went to college, and I was like, right, okay, what am I going to do? And in the UK, you do four sort of subjects, and photography was one of them. Media was another one, and computing and English. But photography was like one of the ones I enjoyed the most. I was like, I used to have a darkroom attached to the studio, and it was amazing. I spent all my days in there.
That's pretty cool.
Literally, I would just, my eyes were just like used to darkness. I used to spend so much time in there. Yeah, and obviously I didn't just use manual. I then had to actually invest in another camera. And my camera I didn't have hardly any money then. My family weren't massively well off. I just had a very, very basic camera. And I remember entering my first ever competition.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a photo of a leaf.
Oh, okay.
So the morning dew was like dripping off the leaf. It was like, kind of like a macro shot.
Yeah.
And I took this on a 2-megapixel camera.
Oh,
and
wow.
I remember taking this photo and entered it into the competition. I thought, you know what, I'm not going to win anything here. And time went on. I was still carrying on doing my course, and my photography teacher at the time, who had like persuaded me to enter the competition, said to me, "Did you know you've won it?" And I was like,
"What?
No way!" I just couldn't believe that had even happened.
Yeah.
And they sort of write a big sort of article on like the photo that won, and the judges who would judge the photo had looked, because basically in like Lightroom and stuff, you can see what camera's been used to take that photo.
Okay.
And they couldn't believe that I'd managed to get that shot with a 2-megapixel camera. And like I'd edited it as well, so it was, I don't know, I just felt so proud of myself. I was awesome. You know what, I had probably the worst camera anyone was using in that competition. And I managed to create something which they loved.
Yeah, wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, my passion really grew from there, and that was a lot of wildlife. Sort of scenic images, and that's what I really enjoyed doing. I then really left photography. I didn't really consider it much at all throughout my army career. Touched on it briefly now and then, but I think what came down for me was I tried loads of things in my life, and I thought, you know what, I'll give this a go, but none of them ever came anywhere close to photography.
Yeah, cool.
And it's always something that's been there for me, but I've never pursued it.
Yeah, right.
And I think now, the new chapter has sort of begun. Instead of saying, okay, I love wildlife stuff, I don't enjoy that stuff anymore. I used to, because that's what I was good at. Now I've sort of had a relook at it and thought, what am I not good at, and what do I enjoy?
Yeah.
So I enjoy fitness. I enjoy this sort of like lifestyle aspect of stuff. I enjoy speaking to people and meeting new people.
Yeah.
Let's combine them and create content for people who, like yourself, doing this sort of stuff. Yeah.
For those that don't know, James actually took the artwork photography, or was the photographer for the podcast artwork that I use.
Yeah.
And multiple of my Instagram photos that I post.
Yeah. So that sort of stuff I love. And I've recently found a massive love for that. I didn't have that before, but the minute I started doing it, I was like, whoa, 4 hours suddenly feels like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Isn't it sad that in life, when we're the happiest, our life goes the quickest?
Yeah. Literally like a flash.
Yeah.
And I've done a few shoots now, the one thing which I'm so grateful for is that I would have never met some of the people that I've
Oh,
shot
bro.
with.
I've witnessed all this.
Didn't pursue this.
Because you started this sort of right around the time that I decided to
Yeah.
change my life and sort of start this project. And I've witnessed you just stepping into your passion,
Yeah.
allowing opportunity to come, and
Yeah.
just left, right, and centre, you just had people throw opportunity at you.
Yeah,
You know?
and
It's
suddenly
like,
your world
out of
opens
nowhere.
up. Yeah.
Out of nowhere. You were like, I'm going to ship my camera over from you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start taking photos. And next minute, you're doing shoots for cafes. Professional fitness.
For pro athletes.
Pro athletes.
Yeah.
Little old me.
No, you're one of my favourites.
mate.
I definitely enjoy
it. Factory, was it?
For factory.
For
clothing
Phoebe
brand.
stuff.
So
it's awesome.
the future's definitely bright, I think.
Absolutely.
I'm just
obviously got a knack
loving
for it.
every minute of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
all right. Well, look, that's about time. So we'll wrap it up. But you have already answered my end of podcast question, so I'm going to shoot another one at you this time.
Right.
And we were discussing this at work today, and I was like, I like that question. So my question is, what is the greatest fear that you've ever overcome?
Right. Okay. I did briefly discuss this earlier. I think this was probably my biggest fear when I was throughout my whole life. I was never taught how to swim when I was younger, which I really don't like.
Obviously didn't grow up on the Gold Coast.
No, I grew up in England where no one goes in the sea. My mum was a great swimmer, but they just didn't have the money to do swimming lessons. And we don't have swimming lessons like they do at school here. It's just not.
It's just not a crucial part of life, is it?
It's not.
Over there.
No, it's just not. But I really felt like it held me back in life. And I remember joining the military, and swimming isn't actually something you have to be able to do.
Right.
It's just something you have to, like, you have a swim test that you have to pass. You don't even have to pass it, but you have to attempt it.
Right.
And I remember being in basic training, dreading when the swim test was coming up. I used to dread even going to the pool because I knew that, one, I was so fearful of that water, and two, I'm in a situation where I can't say no. I can't not do the things that they're wanting you to do. So I remember going to that pool and I was shaking. I was full on shaking. And everyone sort of lines up, and not only am I going in this pool, but I have to wear coveralls, and you wear like this rucksack thing, and you just weigh down, and boots.
Wow.
So it's like, it's not even just swimming. You suddenly got an extra like 5-10 kilos on you.
Wow, shit.
And especially when the coveralls get wet, they weigh a lot. And I remember being so scared just standing at the side of the pool, and you walk up to, I'm pretty sure it's a 10-meter platform.
Yeah, right.
Which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're on
it's pretty fucking high.
It is high.
It's really high.
It is suddenly like you're on Everest.
Oh,
you're about to jump off.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm standing on this pool, and the swim test is basically you tread water for 2 minutes and you swim around the pool numerous amounts of times. So I'm bricking myself, and my name's called out, and I'm standing on this.
I've never heard that term before. You're bricking yourself.
Absolutely bricking myself.
That's really funny.
I'm standing on top of this sort of this board, and I know that I have to do this, and everything in my head is telling me, no, you can't swim. You don't even know how to swim. I've never tread water before in my life. I don't even know what to do. All I knew was what people had told me to do.
Yeah, right.
Like in the water, which was like, do a figure of 8
don't panic and do a figure of 8.
And it's like I felt so scared, so scared. But as soon as it said go, I leapt off. And next minute I was in the water, and I was panicking, but after like 2 seconds, I somehow managed to calm down. I don't know how. I think it must have just been that whole situation I was in where I knew I couldn't fail.
Yeah.
Because I think if you know you can like quit, you just you panic more, or you just get out, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And there's no that wasn't an option for me. I'm in like 10-meter water now, and I have to keep myself up.
Yeah.
And somehow I managed to do that.
Yeah, wow.
And I kept myself up for 2 minutes, But then I didn't have enough energy to do anything after that. And I failed the swim test.
Yeah.
But I was so proud that I actually managed to do that and confronted that fear.
Yeah, wow.
And afterwards I looked back and I thought, how in hell did I do that? I don't even know how I've done that now.
Yeah, wow.
But
so you can swim now?
I swim now,
Yeah.
I swim now. I taught myself to swim.
Yeah.
Long process. I'm still not amazing, but I can swim.
I'm not a great swimmer either.
Like, I don't know, that was a massive fear for me when I was younger. And it still is now, a little bit, because I just learned to deal with it better.
Yeah.
Like when I said about Toastmasters, they've learned to love the fear. I learned to love swimming. I enjoy it now.
Yeah.
And I see it more as a challenge. It's like, like now, for instance, when I've learned to swim, I've tested myself more. So I've been like, right, okay, I'll tread water for 10 minutes. And now I'll tread water for 15 minutes.
Shit. That's
and
a good workout right there, man.
And like, I've obviously went from not swimming at all to doing that. And I don't think I would have been able to do that now if I hadn't have had that experience. I think I would have still been scared. My sister is still scared of the water and won't go in it.
Wow, there you go.
So,
isn't it fascinating how we all have fears and they're all so diverse and one man's walk in the park can be another man's greatest fear, you know, anyway, that was good.
Yeah, really good.
Fun.
Yeah. That was,
how'd you feel you went that time? Did one workshop of Toastmasters do the job?
I definitely felt a lot more comfortable, I'd say.
I think so too, considering you did about 95% of the talking.
Yeah, I felt like I spoke a lot then.
That's good.
Story time.
Yeah, absolutely. Story time. Cool. Yeah. Well, we'll do another one soon, but for now, I guess that'll do for us. So,
see you later. Take care.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in, fam. If you would like to support the podcast, the best way you can do that is to leave a review, or if you're watching on YouTube, give it a like and leave me a comment. Massive thank you in advance if you do. I'm extremely grateful. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast as much as I did, and don't forget to tune in next week. New podcasts drop every Sunday. Big love.